Perfect. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Shashank Shekhar. I am the founder and CEO of InstaMortgage, and I'm joined by Tim Slevin, who is the partner and CEO at TheShareGroup. This webinar is about how to get more listings in 2025, and we are going to jump right in. Again, as I said, the structure of the presentation, I get to speak first. I'll be sharing with you some of the strategies that we talked about when you registered for this webinar. And then Tim will join me towards the end and share his own strategies. Perfect. So really the four things that I want to focus on today is understanding what the trends are. This is the beginning of the year. We want to look at what some of the projections are, what are some of the predictions for the housing market and the mortgage market, and maybe learn something from it and then plan our year accordingly. The second thing that I'm going to talk about is that how do you achieve what is called digital mayorship? How do you become the mayor of your market? How do you become the mayor of your neighborhood? But through a digital mean, of course, we're not talking about politically elected mayor here. And using some of the AI that has been evolving over the last, say, year and a half, and making it actually much easier than what it was when I started on this strategy a long time back. And then we'll talk about how do you get more ROI from low-cost advertising. So we're not talking here spending thousands and millions of dollars. How are you spending hundreds of dollars instead and still getting a decent ROI from that? And finally, an iBuyer kind of an AI tool, which will help you compete against people like Opendoor and OfferPad, and how do you use that to skyrocket your listing game? So let's first start looking at where are the markets heading, at least where are the people thinking the markets are heading. So I have a few forecasts for you. And now, while I show that to you, I also want you to be careful in the sense that, of course, these are not final words. These are simply forecast. And as if most of you have been probably in the industry for a long period of time and understand that the prediction and projections are really, that's what it is that it's very hard to predict the home prices and home appreciation and how many homes will sell. So NAR is probably the most aggressive or most optimistic for 2025, saying that we will have 4.9 million sales. I personally doubt that we will get to that level. Fannie Mae is at 4.5. On the lower side, you have Housing Wire and Goldman Sachs. But if you look at the average, it's about 4.4, 4.5 million. Now, we sold about 4 million homes in 2024. So even if we get to 4.4, 4.5, that's about 10% increase from last year. So it will be a healthy increase from what we saw in 2024. So we are hoping that we get to at least that level, which is the average of some of these top agencies' forecast. Now, if I'm looking at what the home price appreciation will be, because that's one of the things that we all try to predict, we all try to, when we are talking to our sellers and buyers, that's one of the things that always come up is that, how much do you think my home price will appreciate this year? And there, the forecast is all over the place. I mean, from almost no appreciation from Moody's Analytics, which is 0.3%, that's practically nothing, to Goldman Sachs, which is on the slightly conservative side on how many homes will sell, but on a very aggressive when it comes to how much the home prices will appreciate. Now, even at 4%, this will be one of the lowest home appreciation year for the housing industry, because over the last decade or so, practically every year, the home prices have been increasing at more than 4%. So even at 4%, it will be a tempered down forecast for 2025. But if we get to some of the lower one, if you look at the average of all the top 13 forecasts here, it's only 2.6%, which is, of course, on a much lower side than what we would like to be. We would ideally want it to be about 3 to 4%. That keeps the buyer interest in the market. But if you are on the slightly lower side, it puts more houses on the market, because the sellers probably start thinking that they can't get much more from their property by waiting. So, but the problem with both these forecasts is that both of these are codependent on the mortgage rates, right? Is because depending on where the mortgage rates head this year, those numbers could be widely off, either in the positive direction or the negative direction. So that 4% appreciation could be 5 or 6 if the mortgage rates are low, or that 4% appreciation could be 1 or 2 if the mortgage rates remain high. So, and that's why it's probably for the first time that I've seen a lot of agencies and institutions are just giving an average. So like, for example, NAR said the rate will stay around 6%. Most of the agencies and media has not been giving an exact mortgage interest rate forecast for 2025. And the reason for that is that they have gotten it wrong at least for the last 3 years. Every year they were expecting the mortgage rates to end in 6% or even 5% range. And we all know that that did not happen. That did not happen in 22, that did not happen in 23. And that kind of just about happened for a couple of weeks. We probably saw 6.3, 6.4 kind of a rate around September. And then we lost that as well. And in fact, ended the year for the first year in several years, we are starting the year at over 7%. And that's one of the highest interest rates that you've seen starting the year at. In fact, the average mortgage payment for a typical house at the beginning of 2025 is the highest it has ever been in the history of US housing. And that's because the home prices are significantly higher and the mortgage rates are in the sevens. Because some people will say, why wasn't that the case in the 70s when the rates were 18%? Is because the average median price at that time was probably 140, 150,000. And that's why the cost of owning a home is the highest it has ever been in the history of the US. So given all of that, this is all important is because what happens to mortgage rates is probably going to drive how many homes we end up selling and at what appreciation we'll be selling. And that's why, even though I gave you all these numbers, you can see that even the top economists and top experts in the country are completely divided in terms of what those numbers will be, is because these are so difficult to predict. So it's good to know it, but of course, we can't be completely planning our business strategy based on that. But what is this market doing is that it's creating two things. One, there are more disappointed Airbnb owners and investors. And by that, what I mean is that a lot of people that purchased in, say, 2022, thinking that the mortgage rates will go down and their cost of ownership will go down. So say they purchased the home at 7%, 7.5%, say in 22, 23, thinking that they are only doing it for a temporary basis because everybody told them, all the experts were saying that mortgage rates are going to go down very soon. So they were thinking, it doesn't matter if you're buying the home at 7%, 7.5%, very soon we will be able to refinance it and will reduce the cost of the mortgage for our properties. And that has not happened, which means a lot of Airbnb owners and investors are not getting the kind of cash flow that they were expecting before. And more disappointed Airbnb owners and investors mean more opportunities for you to list those properties. So if you can find Airbnb owners, which is very easy to find, of course, and Tim will come back and talk about it, or if you can find investors in your market, that's also relatively easy to find, then marketing to them becomes much easier because now you have a targeted database of the people who might be disappointed and even frustrated by the fact that their cost of ownership continues to be high and their cash flow continues to be low. The other thing it does is that now with way more inventory on the market than what it was in, say, at the end of 23, 24, we saw the inventory jump up by almost 30%. The time on the market increased significantly for multiple markets. There are more expired listings. But while most experts or most coaches tell you to call those expired listings, say, a day or a week after they expire, the problem with that is that everybody knows that strategy. So you're not the only one calling. There are maybe a dozen other real estate agents in your market who are calling the same sellers saying that, oh, I noticed that you have an expired listing. What if we did that? Instead, if you waited a little while, because at that time, most sellers kind of get frustrated by so many calls that they're getting. And so if you waited maybe a couple of weeks, maybe waited about a month, and if that property is not relisted, then it might be your opportunity to approach that specific seller because they might be more open. Because most real estate agents probably stop calling after a week, after they've tried a couple of times, have not gotten that listing. So if you were to wait a couple more weeks, it's the same strategy that you use on leads as well, is that when the lead come in, a lot of people try to calling the same leads if that lead is being sold to multiple real estate agents. But if you waited a couple of weeks, then call them, chances are they're probably not getting as many calls as they were getting before. So two opportunities that immediately come to my mind based on where the current markets are. Now, you should also understand who is selling or who is at least planning to sell. Again, these are all projections. We don't know if these people will end up actually selling or not. But most homeowners want to sell. 1 in 4 homeowners plan to sell in the next 3 years. Now, will they actually list the property on the market? We don't know, but that's a good sign that more homeowners, because of the equity that they have gained in the house over the last decade or so because of the home appreciation that I was talking about. A lot of people want to cash out that equity if they could buy another home at a reasonable price and with a reasonable interest rate. So that's a good sign. As an industry, I would see that as a good sign. That may or may not happen tomorrow, but at least they are planning to. Now, 53% of people who divorced in 2022 own their home, according to Forbes. So again, it's a great opportunity to be talking to divorce attorneys, people who work with these people, because all these people need potential buying and selling of their home once that divorce goes through. So, and then 30% of baby boomers own their home free and clear. And so if they are buying another home, then that could be a potential for you to list. So what are the strategies that you can use to target the baby boomers? The more you understand your buyers and sellers, and this presentation, of course, is more about sellers and listing, the more you are able to tailor make your marketing and your strategy based on them. So, and that's why I kind of threw this data on you so that you can understand who, and your market might be slightly different. These are the national trends. That's what we are looking at. Okay, let's keep moving. Now, one of the research that took place in the last couple of years said sellers really want three things. They want certainty, speed, and cash. 87% of sellers said the certainty of an offer not falling through is extremely important, and that makes sense. I'm surprised why 100% of the sellers will not say that, is because it's just common sense. If I want to list my property, I want the certainty of that offer to go through. 74% of sellers wanted to sell the home as fast as possible, meaning they wanted cash as soon as they can. And 58% of sellers actually said that at least receiving a cash offer does not mean they will accept a cash offer, but at least receiving a cash offer is important to them. Now let's look at some of the marketing strategies that I talk about. So in my agenda that I laid out, I said we will first talk about the market trends and what are the opportunities that open for you, other than the general opportunities that exist in every single market. The second was the online approach of finding low cost advertising with high ROI, and then how you can use AI to establish digital mayorship in your market. So let's look at, and this is a quick exercise you can do. I can search online for real estate agent near me. And what you will do is that when you do that, what you will see, and I'm jumping onto a live share now. So I'm going to push this here. Okay, this is really acting weird today. Okay, that's good. So when you do that, what you will see is that you see two things. Okay, so real estate agent near me. And what you will see is that you will see this big section here, which is the Google Business Local page, and we will talk about that. And then you see the sponsored result here on the top. And what those two things are, depending on the market where you are in, is that what you're looking at is, one, the business profile, right? This is called Google Business Profile. Now, this is probably the easiest way to rank on first page of Google. So if you'll see here, of course, after the sponsored results, the first results that you see right off the bat is there are three different real estate agents here, and with their reviews, website directions, and you have probably used it for practically when you're trying to find any kind of business. The problem is that we don't know how Google decides, or we have not been able to rank, say, higher than other people on it. And really, the best way to do that is that there are three ways by which you can rank in one of those top 3-4 searches that Google shows. Most of the time, they will show 3, sometimes 4, even 5, depending on the location you are in. And this is directly from Google. What Google is looking for is 3 things to decide who to put there on the top listing results when someone's looking for that specific business in the local market. One is relevance, which means that is your business actually in the same area or listed in the same area as people are searching for, right? So if they're searching for real estate agents in San Jose, California, or Orlando, Florida, or Las Vegas, Nevada, is your business actually located in San Jose, Orlando, or Las Vegas? So that's the first thing, right? Sorry, is your business, if they're looking for a real estate agent, are you a real estate agent? That's what relevance means. Distance means, of course, how far you are from what they're searching. So if they're searching for a certain location, are you in that location? So these two are slightly easier to achieve. This is slightly tricky. Prominence. So what Google is looking for is that how legit are you? which means that not just here that you have a great profile here and you have a lot of people leaving reviews and you update your photos all the time and you're putting new promotions. By the way, all of that is very, very important. If you want to check out, for example, our business profile, InstaMortgage, search for InstaMortgage, that profile will come up and you will see how many photos we have, how many reviews we have. All of that, keeping the page fresh at all points of time is really important. But prominence is also important, which means that Google is also looking at where does your how frequently your business get mentioned across the web, and what kind of credibility do you have in other places of the web and not just in Google Business Profile. The more it sees that you're prominent, the more your chances of ranking on page one of Google. So this is a free tool and getting you in front of practically everyone who is searching for you in your local market, and gets you a huge amount of eyeballs. Plus, they can, of course, see all your reviews that you're posting. Relevance, distance, and prominence is probably the best way for when I got in the business. I got in the business in 2008, and I had practically no connection back then. One of the first things that really got me some of the initial, say, visibility on web was Google Business Profile. I think it was called Google My Business at that time, or Google Local. I think they keep changing the name, but that's one of the easiest ways. And then the second thing that Google does, which they allow for real estate agents, is Google Ads for local services. So get more clients for your real estate firm. And this is something that Google has started only in the last, I think, 2 years. This is something newer and something that most people are not aware of. And the way it works is really very simple, is that when you search for something, Google, as I was saying, has a sponsored, they only give 2 listings in most market for this one. And the way it works is that, so I'll click on this. So Google has started something called local service ad. This is only for few professionals, and you can see some of the professionals coming here: electricians, real estate agents, some doctors. And so it's not available for every single service, as they have given the list of it here. But what's really cool is that, one, you get a huge amount of money in free credit. So once you spend a minimum amount of dollars on this ad, they will credit you for that. So you see, if you spend $500 with Google Ads in the first 60 days, you get 500 of ads credit. It's almost like buy one, get one free kind of a thing, all the way up to almost $1,500 if you put $3,000 in Google Ads. So first of all, you get a lot of free money when you're trying to do that. Second, they make it really, really easy, is because what they're trying to do is they actually give you a budget controller. So you can say, oh, how many leads that you want? And I don't know, I say 10504. How many leads do you want per month? Let's say 10. If you thought that's, I mean, you can close 1 out of 10. I don't know what your closing ratio is, and we won't know, of course. And I were to move to real estate agents here, and then you can estimate the budget based on that. So this is, if you click the budget here, it says for about $220 to $330 a month, you can get 10 monthly leads. But the great thing about local service ad is that this the only thing that's considered a lead is when they click on either the, so if I were to go back to the slide here, do you see a message and the call button here? That's considered lead. Of course, if your name just shows up here, that's not a lead. So they need to click on the message and leave you a message, or they need to call you, and only when you pick up. So again, if they just call and hang up, then that's not really considered a lead. So it's actually like somebody who is searching for your name, searching for your business, and they're texting or calling you. Only then it gets billed as a lead. So you can see how much more high quality this is from an intent perspective and from the action that they have taken. And that too, so as you saw, for 10 leads in an expensive market like New York, they're saying you can pay about 220 to 330 leads. So something that potentially you can try, and this will probably be, and you, of course, so there are a couple of requirements that I wanted to clarify so that you're aware of this. One, they make sure that you have a license, which of course you do, and you carry an insurance, which could be your broker's insurance. So they do some due diligence when you sign up. They don't just list your name just because you ask them to. So Google, that's why it says Google is screened, is because Google goes through its own screening, and then they will do that. So it's just something you could be aware of. A couple of other resources, we will not get into the details of that, is you can actually go to, say, for example, Google's ad library, and then you can actually see what ads your competition or other people in your industry are currently running on Google. And that gives you some ideas if that's something that you want to try. And the reason why you want to try that is because YouTube is still lets you target based on several demographic factors. So as you know, Facebook and the entire Meta platform does not allow you to target based on, say, how many people are in the house. Do they have the intent of, you can actually even advertise based on the intent, that if they have been looking at videos about how to sell a home, those kind of intent. You can pick the income group, you can pick the age group. Some of the things that Meta used to, or Facebook used to allow, say about 6-7 years back, YouTube still allows you to do that. So that's another platform that you can potentially try to advertise. A lot of you might already be doing some kind of CMA that you send to your database. This is slightly different in a sense that this just makes it look cooler and better. So you use this one only work for your people who are in your database. But what you do is that you pull up their home in Google Earth and actually record your screen. So you're not doing like a flyer or just an email. This is more like a Loom video or a BombBomb video or something where you can record the screen and send it to them. And it's pretty simple. If you were to go to earth.google.com and enter address, say, for example, that's my home address there. And then if you zoom in, so it will not show which house is which right now, but once you start zooming it in, then it starts showing the address. So that's 3 Gifford Lake Drive. This one is 7, this one is 5. And you can do a Zoom recording. So if this home sold for whatever price that is, this home sold for, and then once you do that, the CMA becomes so much more interesting than just sending a PDF or email that I have seen, that I have personally received from most of the real estate agents. And once they click on it or once they open it, then you use BombBomb or whatever platform that you use. I have given you the BombBomb example. Then you're able to follow up with those people who have opened it and who have watched it. And then you can send out a personalized letter, give them a call or knock on their door, because you know exactly who are the people who have done that. So digital mayorship powered by AI, I use multiple platforms. I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, I use Perplexity, but I will keep it simple here since most people use ChatGPT. One of the challenges of ChatGPT has been just finding how to write a perfect prompt, is because a lot of people who are not getting the right results from ChatGPT is because they're not organizing the prompt in a way that ChatGPT understands better and gives you a better result. So after experimenting with probably thousands of prompts over the last year that I've done, the prompt style or the anatomy that works the best especially for real estate and mortgage business is really you give persona, context, goal, and format. And that's how you produce the best kind of content that you can from ChatGPT. So persona in your case could be, I'm a real estate agent in Orlando, Florida, for example. The context could be that I want to target, say, investors who are frustrated by the cash flow that they're giving in their home. Your goal could be either an email letter that you're trying to get or something to put in the flyer. And then format is basically what kind of a tone that you want. Do you want it casual? Do you want it educational? Do you want it with a touch of humor? How long do you want it? And do you want it, say, authoritative, educational? So really, that's basically how you write a perfect prompt, is that and ChatGPT even allows you to do that as a setting now. So if you were to go here, for example, and you go to settings, customize ChatGPT, you can actually introduce yourself. And this way, every time that you're writing something, every time you want ChatGPT to produce something, what should ChatGPT call you? Of course, you can come up with whatever. What do you do? You're a real estate agent. What traits should ChatGPT have? So it should understand the market, say Orlando, Florida in this case. What kind of a tone that you want, and anything else that you want. Once you do that, you can enable it for new chats. Once you do that you don't have to do this persona and the format every single time, because ChatGPT knows that every single time that this is the persona and this is the output that you wanted to create. When you customize your ChatGPT like that, then it becomes very easy for you to get that kind of an output every single time. Also, one of the least explored thing on ChatGPT is GPTs. These are your specialized. So if you want to, for example, learn like a lot of research, if you wanted to do, Consensus does that. So ask the research chat directly. Also, if you wanted to go to GPT and say, if you wanted to become much better in negotiation, they have a GPT called Negotiator, I think. Let me pull that, the Negotiator, which helps you become, say, much better at negotiation. This is actually created by ChatGPT themselves. So there are multiple GPTs which are more advanced and more specialized. We created, for example, our own GPTs, InstaMortgage, which were created by us, which is more for clients really in terms of understanding how to get a mortgage rate quote, getting all the mortgage answers, and everything else. Sora is something new that they have launched, which creates video. It's still in the infancy stage, and I would not suggest that you try that. So I'm not going to go through every single prompt here, but I just wanted to give you how the structure of the prompt works. Because if you were to go to a listing presentation, for example, and I'm going to put this in the slideshow, and you went there by your entire marketing proposal already ready, even though you don't know a lot about home. So even though you don't know all the amenities in the home and all the features of the home, imagine if you went to a listing presentation and you were already carrying 3 different potential MLS, say listing description, and you asked ChatGPT to do that. So if you ask ChatGPT, please write an MLS listing description for a property with, and whatever you already know about the property. As I said, you may not know everything. And you can one which have a more luxury tone, depending on what price range you're selling at. One could be a more casual tone, and one could be whatever, a more like a little bit of humor tone. And then showed your potential client there that you already have 3 different listing descriptions. Based on that, you can also have ChatGPT, for example, write every single social media post already. So what you're doing to the potential seller here is that, and also, by the way, I don't know if you've tried it, but I have tried it multiple times. There's so many times ChatGPT will come a very unique idea of marketing a property, depending on the price range and the amenity and the location of the property there is. So also, maybe you can ask for a prompt saying, I'm trying to sell a property, or I'm going on a listing presentation for a property which is valued at so much with these kind of amenities with this kind of a neighborhood. Can you give me 10 unique ways to market the property or host the open house? You can do all of that, take a printout of that, or put it on your iPad or wherever, and show to your potential seller that these are things that I've already done. I have a entire marketing proposal for the listing, already prepared, powered by AI. Of course, I'll make changes now that I know more about your property, but these are some of the things that you can potentially do. So it's not just about how you get more listing, but it's also about how do you win more listing presentation, and ChatGPT can help you do that. So some of the top mortgage strategies being in the mortgage industry, some of the things that we see being on the mortgage side is that a lot of homes which are renovation or TLC kind of homes, real estate agents are trying to sell it only to the investors. And you don't need to, because even people who want to live in the home as primary residents, you can sell as is homes by promoting renovation loans. And even if you're selling condos which are not FHA approved, you probably already know this, but only a single unit in a project can be FHA approved, even if the entire project is not approved. So you can still offer FHA financing for that. Of course, there are buy-down programs. Our team uses that quite a lot, 2-1 or a 3-1, where even in this market, you can potentially offer rates in the 4s. And there are, of course, a ton of non-QM options, which we do internally at InstaMortgage, which helps people hard to qualify buyers for properties. Now, the last part, and then I will get Tim here, is that I'll go back to one of the things that we talked about, right? We talked about sellers want 3 things: certainty, speed, and cash. And one of the ways in which we have seen the listing potential of a property go up significantly higher is that if you were to market something like this, right? So let's pull this up here on the slide. Imagine if you were doing farming, and probably all of you do if you want to get more listing. Most of the farming postcards is about recently sold, recently listed kind of a postcard. But imagine if you send one of these postcards, get an instant cash offer on your home, or get 3 cash offers on your home. You put your QR code here, and when they scan the QR code, they could land on a website where they can enter the address and get instantly, not have to wait for a day or 2, but instantly 3 or 4 or 5 different cash offers. Again, they don't have to accept the cash offer. It just creates an interest. And our research shows that people who click on that link, 36% of them list their property in the next 6 to 9 months, which means almost 1/3 of them are really interested in getting a cash offer, or at least interested in selling the home in the future. And so what we have launched is, and this is, by the way, this does not cost you anything, so I'm not here to sell a product. Insta Offers is what we offer to our listing agents or potential listing agent who want to become listing agents. And that offers iBuyer kind of program, cash offers, sell now, move later, and fix it and then list it kind of different properties. And we can get into these details. If you're interested in this, you can email me and we can go over this. But this is what helps you get more listing. Again, We are not interested in them actually selling for cash, but even if they did, you still make your commission. But even most, what it helps is that it really helps you get more listing leads, which they can, of course, you can convert and put them, you can list them on the open market. And not just that we provide you the platform and the potential cash if they were to take the cash, we give you every marketing support. So all the postcards, all the branded websites, all the emails, text campaign, all social media graphics, that comes along with as part of Insta offers. So something which can, as I said, help you compete against the open door offer paths of the world, but also make you look very different than all the other real estate agents in the market. If you're interested in that or anything that I mentioned, you can email me at shashank@instamortgage.com. Our website is instamortgage.com. We have taken about 30, 35 minutes here. We had 5 things on the agenda, and the 5th thing really was about how do you predict some of these real listings even before they come on the market? What kind of people are listing the property? How do you know it? It's called predictive analytics, where you're able to figure out who are the people who will potentially be listing, and how do you find those contact details, and how do you market to them? To talk about that, I'll bring Tim Slevin here, who is my co-host for this webinar. He is the partner and CEO of TheShareGroup. But over to you, Tim.
Shashank, thank you very much. I felt like as I listened to your presentation that there were 2 or 3 topics that I would love to hear you speak for about a half an hour on. And the paid advertising could be its own thing that I would enjoy learning about, as well as your expertise on ChatGPT, how to use that in our business. I'd love to hear that. So I don't know. So Shashank, Tim Slavin here, as you know, CEO of TheShareGroup. I want to say special thanks to Lars, Manny, Pete, and Rob. You guys know who you are, ShareGroup customers that showed up today. In order to get your attention today, because this is going to be a way for you to get leads that support many of the strategies that Shashank has already mentioned, I thought I'd put somebody up on the screen that says, this may be valuable for you. You shouldn't believe me, but I love my customers who give me direct feedback. My realtors who get listings from outbound calling. This is something I like to share. This is Max. He's a high-performing realtor in Miami. And in order to say that what I may have to say could have value for you, I'm going to show you kind of real-life results from somebody who does a lot of cold calling. So Max sent this to me in October. We provide data for cold calling on homeowners that have a higher propensity to sell than their neighbors. We identify those. I'm going to talk a lot about that. In order to kind of set the case, we provided him 409 prospects, 300. So somehow Max was able to qualify 300 listings out of 400 names. And as you can see right in the middle there, 7 have resulted in listing appointments. So he's converting 2.6% of our leads into listing opportunities, which is pretty incredible. Usually it's 1 to 2%. So his performance is pretty darn good. And he's an advocate for our business, and he shares with us real life feedback, which I hope you can appreciate as well. So what is TheShareGroup? A company that's built on 3 core data sets, which allow us to understand that household, the owner, and their unique circumstances, which make them much more likely to be a listing candidate for you in the next 12 to 18 months. So in order to get there, we have to have every homeowner, that is names, addresses, emails, age, income, occupation, hobbies, interest, financial data. And then we skip over to the property demographics, or all of the attributes of the square foot, the property, the beds, the baths, levels, pools, all of that. Third piece is the mortgage. So when we stitch all 3 of these databases together, we're able to tease out those prospects who have a higher propensity to list, because they're getting closer and closer to some event that makes that listing really attractive. We'll talk about those listing types, briefly here. One of the things that we talk about on the initial conversation with our realtors is, how is your funnel today? And did you start building it at least 6 months ago? Because too many agents really don't know where that next listing is coming from. So having these in the pipeline that are maturing over the next 6 and 12 months is really important. We want them to have a conversation with you before they fill out a form. And if they knew who you were and what you could do to help them sell their home, they would have no interest in putting their name on a form and finding some random realtor to get assigned to, because you have the local expertise, the knowledge, and now you have a relationship that makes it much more comfortable and easy to move forward. So listing agents last. We know this because you have that higher probability of time. The ROI on the time spent in the listing appointment and open houses and fielding offers and getting the close, much time, much better well spent than showing homes. So we have more control of our commission. We're in the driver's seat in terms of the negotiation, and we know what our compensation is going to be. So briefly on why off-market leads. Anytime we're putting money into the internet to get leads back, we have to trust that that system is going to generate a lead for us that has a conversion rate that substantiates the cost of that lead. And that takes a long time to figure out. The spend goes on for months and months and months before you figure this out. In our environment, the ShareGroup, the value really is you. And by that, I mean, we're going to make the best use of your time in approaching the most likely sellers in your near market based on specific attributes. And that's how a 20-cent lead becomes a $10,000 commission in our business. We're using the demographic and the property data really to identify the best candidates. So it's homeowners, phones, emails, property and mortgage information, and it's delivered through a really easy to use mapping system that we won't have time to get through today. But it's every homeowner in the United States. 100% of our records have phones. A lot of them have two. We'll tell you if it's a landline or if it's a cell phone. We don't encourage texting blindly. That's not going to go over very well. 25% of them will have an email. We'll also tell you if they're on the DNC. You can remove those from your list selection before you download it if you'd like to do that. We created this high-functioning lead and data support store for realtors and investors, in which you can go in and get counts by zip, by radius, neighborhood, specific seller segments. You can skip trace an entire list. You can look up individual homeowners and find out about that property. You can also buy lead credits. This is a subscription-free data service. We also believe that realtors are oversubscribed. And at the end of each month, you get hit with that bill and you go, did I get value out of it? And the way that we deliver our data services and leads is in a fixed price for a certain allocation of leads. And those leads will be downloaded as you use them through time over the next year. So with our data, you can call it, and there's new TCPA considerations, mail it, text it, or you can upload these for targeted online advertising. So you have the name, the address, and the email. And now you can not only talk to those folks who are downsizers, likely to sell, divorced, or absentee owners, but you can also now target them online because you know who they are. And most of our folks, we're going to upload this data into a CRM or a drip marketing or a dialer. So quick chat on the most popular list that we provide of sellers, downsizers. They've been in the home 15 plus years. Most of them are empty nesters. 80% are higher equity. It's a matter of time before they say, I need a second home, or I want to move closer to the grandkids, or the maintenance and upkeep is just too much at our age. We'd rather fund our retirement in a more comfortable, easier to manage lifestyle environment. Absentee owners are super popular. I'm in Palm Springs today where we have 50% absentee owners. And yeah, those are great folks to go after because it could be a second home, a rental, or it could be that VRBO, which is drying up. I have folks who are friends of mine who bought 5 homes out here 3 years ago. They're down to 1. So there's definitely an exodus happening. And obviously those HOA decisions can impact the viability of that property significantly. The really cool thing, I'll give you a really great tip about absentee. The broader market that you buy on absentees, more zip codes or a county in a connected area, and you sort that list, you're going to get the owner's name, which could be anywhere in the United States. And you're going to have the property name, which is in your zip codes. When you sort it by the owner, you're going to find people that own 2, 3, 4, and 5 homes in your market. And think about the ROI that you're going to have if you talk to somebody who has 4 or 5 homes versus calling a single owner. And you get back double-ended transactions there as well. Likely to sell, before you become a downsizer, you spend most of your time in that home 5 to 15 years as a likely to sell. So these are folks who put at least 20% down. They have 50% or more equity in that property. They didn't buy as much home as they could afford. They bought a conservative home and they have a good down payment and that equity has appreciated. So as the family grows, as they want to get to a nicer neighborhood or bigger home, these are the folks who have the ability and the propensity to do that going forward. I'm going to say that most of our folks who do cold calling are doing 300 calls a day. I've got a couple of examples here. It could be up to 500 a day. And we're looking for 20 to 30 conversations and at least one lead coming out of that type of an outbound effort. A Colorado veteran, one of our clients, does 300 dials. It's 3 nurtures a day and 1 appointment per day. So 1 listing appointment per day is going to be a blockbuster month with that type of discipline and effort. The word of caution here is don't do this if you're not willing to do it for 6 months. Because when you call in January, you're going to find October listing opportunities. And in February, you're going to get June and January of next year. But after you're in it for 6 months, you have an evergreen pipeline that's maturing in front of you because you create that contact. So the listings you're getting today for our clients, they made that contact in June, July, and August, and they're reaping the benefit of that outbound activity that they did 6 months ago. Very cool thing on how we deliver leads and sell it. It's through a wallet. As I said, you buy 1,500 up to 10,000 leads. They sit in a bank and you download them or you're ready to work them. We like them to be there because we're going to update those phones and emails every week. And so take the leads down, we're ready to work them, leave them there until you're ready to go. And that'll give you the best price and give you the most significant way to make an impact in your market. Very quickly, here's the pricing. Opening entry, 1,500 leads, $300, 10,000 leads, $1,400. You can contact me at tim@TheShareGroup, and I'll be happy to hook you up with an account executive who can work with you, or we can schedule a time to do a demo together. And thank you very much for your time. Shashank, you did an awesome job. Thank you for inviting me in to meet with your team. I hope I got that in under budget for time.
You did, Tim. You actually
Perfect.
saved me. So on that note, everyone, again, thank you for joining and thank you for the kind words for me and Tim in the chat here. You have both our contact details to reach out for any follow-up conversation. But as Tim said, if you have interest in digging deeper into some of the strategies that we talked about, send us an email and we'll be happy to do more webinars like this, digging much deeper into one strategy at a time and then helping you get better at it. So again, thank you and have a great day ahead. Bye.